Welcome to the MTD Podcast. My name is Rowan Easter-Robinson. I'm an ex-apprentice engineer and a proud member of the MTDCNC team. Now today, we've come to the Hexagon User Group Event for EDGECAM at the Seco Tech Center here. It's kind of near Redditch. Where are we, Gareth?
In Ulster.
Ulster, sorry, yeah. Near Redditch, but it's actually in Ulster.
Yeah, Stratford-upon-Avon.
Yeah, perfect. And I've got two illustrious guests here. One is actually a customer of Hexagon, Martin, who's he's kind of helped out in the event here, has been part of the Q&A session as a happy customer of EDGECAM, and also we're going to talk about some of the functionality and how it helps him make some really fascinating components. We're going to discuss that in a little bit yet. But I've got, first of all, one of the first guests, Gareth Henwood from Hexagon. You've been on the podcast before, haven't you, Gareth?
Yes, I think we did one earlier on in the year.
We did, yeah. Yeah, it was a while back. We talked about a lot of stuff.
E-mobility, wasn't it?
E-mobility, yes, it was fascinating. We talked about the viability of electric cars and how Hexagon does a lot of simulation around kind of design. And there were some smart people on the podcast as well. I've got to say, I did not count myself amongst the smartest in that room, definitely.
What did I? You're the guys.
Yeah, I never normally do either anyway, but especially not in here either. But yeah, Gareth, could you give us a little bit of an introduction as to who you are, please, for those who don't know?
Yeah, so my name's Gareth Henwood. I've been with Hexagon since 2017. I'm one of the area sales managers for metal cutting cam products for the production software division. I cover the southwest of the UK for the cam side, and I also cover half of the mainland UK for Javelin, which is our MRP product.
Brilliant. So you cover a lot of the country. You've been doing this for a long time as well. You definitely know a lot about not just software, but about inspection as well. I've seen you with the roaming arms and the scanners all built in for reverse engineering stuff. You've got some really interesting customers that we saw as well at the Silverstone technology cluster as well. That event was really good. The Hexagon events always seem to be really interesting, have some really great turnouts from interesting customers. And that leads me on to Marcin Kryzwina. Did I say that right, Martin?
Yeah, that's about close.
Perfect. I don't know how to spell it still, but I can just about pronounce it.
Don't worry, not many people can get it right.
Thank you. I'll get myself at the top of something at least, hopefully. And you're the managing director, is that right, of Factory 33?
Yes, I am managing director of young, strong, going company. We've been dealing for about 7 years now within the motorsport industry, medical. We've been producing a lot of high quality components for those industries, and also been designing a lot of parts for motocross bikes.
More about the business, Factory 33. How did it start? Why did it start? And how young really is it?
So business is going for over 7 years. We decided to start an engineering company because there was a niche for the components, for quality components delivered on time. A lot of customers and suppliers always were complaining that the parts never get delivered on time, and we thought it can't be that difficult. And as it turns out, it's not really that difficult. Under promise, over deliver. That's what we try to do within our company. We've got four different machines. That includes full 5-axis simultaneous. We've got one of the best software packages, which that brings obviously EDGECAM from Hexagon. It's in our arsenal, and that's how we're tackling our jobs,
Brilliant. I love it can't be that hard to please customers, and it really can't be if you run a good business well. Yeah. Then good customers what you focus on.
You just have to promise the realistic dates and deliver, and just pay attention to details, and everything's going to work in your favor.
And what do it's probably hard to find kind of the commonalities between medical parts require a lot of precision. I guess so do the kind of the motorsport parts as well. But do you find that there's a big difference in motorsport? That there's kind of lots of one-offs, especially for Formula One and Formula E. Medical has a lot of repeatability. How do you manage all these different kinds of components going through the shop floor at once?
So what we're doing, we obviously do a lot of repeatable stuff for the medical, but then when it comes to the one-offs, we're quite lucky that we've chosen the right software to do so. We can produce the parts very quickly, have the robust G-code output from softwares like EDGECAM. I've been user of EDGECAM of over 15 plus years. When we've opened the business, we've purchased the first license of EDGECAM within 2 months of running the business. We just realized that although we are small, a new business just starting, we have to add a decent software to our production. it just makes the life a lot easier when you can produce all the blends, all the radiuses, and the simulation in EDGECAM is very good. We can compare directly to the models, and the software constantly evolving and improving. I mean, you've got NC Simuls right now. We can verify the G code actually on machine twin, so we know whatever goes on our machine, on a 3-axis, 5-axis, on a 4-axis mill, or on a lathe, we actually 100% sure that nothing's going to crash and the part's going to come out right.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating that. I mean, you need a CAM system to make those complex components in motorsport and medicine. You can't program these by hand anymore, really, can you?
No, because you've got so many different blends, undercuts, full 5-axis simultaneous moves on the machine. You will not be able to cut 100% of the part of any conversational system, which is there on the system, on the market. You need that good package behind it, and it needs to be really easy to use, fairly quick to generate toolpaths, and we've run some large files, and the generations of the toolpaths for me is really good.
Brilliant. And Gareth, I don't know the history of you and Marcin, but obviously you know him. He's one of your customers. How long have you been working together?
So again, as I say, I started in 2017. So again, I was covering the whole south. I had a third of the country then. So again, I probably met Marcin in
just a year after he'd started the company.
Yeah, would have been thereabouts.
Something about that.
Yeah, but actually he's been a EDGECAM user probably before you were,
yeah. 50 plus years.
Yeah.
EDGECAM.
Yeah, I've been a user in my previous life, so I used EDGECAM in the late 90s.
Oh, okay. So you still bib him to the post in veteran status.
Veteran status.
There we go. Yeah. I'm sure. So you've been working for Marcin. I've been working with Marcin since kind of a year after they started the company. And how did you see the business grow and their use of EDGECAM change?
Yeah. So again, gradually as their business, or Marcin business expanded, he invested in more machinery. So then we set them in a new post processor. Then we went for the 5-axis.
Yes, 5-axis.
New post processor, 5-axis module, also 5-axis training. So we get.
Yeah.
And what was moving to 5-axis like?
It was seamless. We had no problems. The post we had supplied, because for those who knows the 5-axis machining, they knows that post is absolutely everything. You can have the best software in the universe, but if the post is not really absolutely 100% bulletproof, you will not be feeling safe running those 5-axis parts, those undercuts. You just need an absolute post for that. And surprise, surprise. The post is really good. We had almost no modifications to what has been supplied on the day one to us.
No modifications.
Almost no modifications
from day one. Almost.
Day one.
It's pretty good.
We've asked for simple changes and positioning moves, but that was it. We didn't have to modify any approaches on a 5-axis simultaneous. It's bulletproof.
A bulletproof 5-axis post, which is really nice for that peace of mind when you're running a 5-axis machine, especially lights out and there's no one to watch it. And even if you're holding on the feed hold, on the feed override, though, you still can't stop it really in time because these machines are so fast now.
Confidence in proving the first part is high at our place because we haven't dropped a beat just yet with the post.
Yeah, and that's something I find fascinating about the difficulty of running kind of a subcontract shop is if you have the 2000 off, you have to prove it out once. You run it 1,999 times. If you run one-offs, you have to prove it out every single time.
If you run ones and twos offs, you really almost want to get to the point where you're so confident that you can program, load it in the machine, press the button, and either go and program another part or just go home.
Yeah, you want to be able to, you don't want to have to watch it because that is wasted time. Exactly.
And we at this point within our company that we have the processes ironed out. The post is good, software is good, and we at this point where we can just press that button and turn around.
And how much do you use NC Simul for that, as well as the standard simulation in EDGECAM?
So with NC Simuls, we're probably using about 50% of the time.
Is that for more complicated jobs?
For more complicated jobs, or for the jobs that I know that I will press this button and leave through the front doors of the company. So then I will run it through the NC Simuls. Although I haven't found anything wrong just yet with what the software outputted. So I'm getting even more confident now not to even run the NC symbols, which I probably should, but it's just a level of confidence. You have to find this right balance within the confidence and what you...
Yeah, no one would ever accuse you of being overconfident, Martin. No way. But and I love Gareth's phrases. You want to crash pixels, not parts, right? I've heard that a couple of times, and it's sunk in finally. Especially when, Martin, these are your machines. This is your capital on the line. This is your machinery. So you have the highest incentive to keep this machinery running as well as possible. And if you can walk out the front door knowing that your, dare say, 100, 200, 300,000 pound machine tool is going to be absolutely fine, then that shows a real confidence in the software that you're using. Let's zoom out a little bit and talk a bit more about the event today, which I found fascinating. There's a lot of the customers we talked to. There's a guy called Peter Moyo who'd been using EDGECAM again for something like 15 years. You've been using it since the 90s, which is unimaginable. Sorry, Gareth. No, it's not completely. Like, we're still using tapes at that point, still using magnetic tape.
Just moved. That was a long time before that.
No, yeah, computers fitting in a room. That was the 60s. That's a long time.
That was all wireframe back then.
Was it? Wireframe. So would you see the toolpath still? Which the lines of the toolpath?
Yeah, it still has the simulation, but it's
not changed that much, has it?
It's just gone solid models.
Yeah, just a little bit quicker. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So one thing I found quite fascinating is the customers that showed the kind of the power users have been using this software for a very long time. So I assume they know the ins and the outs of it, but they still show up to these events. They still come to learn something because, as you say, EDGECAM is evolving. So how is EDGECAM evolving? I mean, what have we seen today?
So again, my colleague Mike, he did what's new in the latest release of EDGECAM.
Tips and tricks, he used that phrase quite a lot.
And he always puts the tips and trick in, which again, from this great feedback we've always had from the user group events, everybody loves the tips and tricks part of the event because it's something that they see quickly and it might save them 3-4 clicks or they didn't know about. It's all about time. As you say, you have that machine, you have to keep that spindle running. If the spindle's not running, you're not making money.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything we can do to help that, everybody takes that away. And again, we've had various improvements and new features in the milling and the turning today. And again, so generally somebody will always take something away that didn't know that, or there's a quicker way of doing that. So it's all about, we focus a lot on performance as well. Generation or regeneration of improvements as well. Waveform that's been around since 2011 in the milling, 2015.
And you're still improving it, still improving the algorithms, the how fast they run, how quick
it's getting better and better, and the customers and users of EDGECAM are benefiting from it. Yeah.
You've definitely got some software engineers.
Toolpath calculation with every release is improving. It's just quicker.
Yeah, totally. So you've got some software engineers that are squirreling away all the time working on EDGECAM, and I guess they need to spend some time talking to the customers as well, which is why it's nice for you to bring customers together so you can talk about what problems they're having and what they'd like to see.
Yeah, and we always like that face-to-face side of it. But as a supported customer as well, you have access to our customer portal. But we encourage customers to say what would you like us to put in the next release of the software. So we don't always guarantee it will go there, but the more people say, yeah, I could really do with this functionality or something like that, a lot of the development of the product is driven by customer needs.
Yeah, totally. And let's move on to what you talked about in the Q&A, Mark.
Yes.
It was interesting Q&A. We had a lot more A's than Q's, unfortunately, but it was absolutely fine. And Martin, you stood up and you started describing this feature in EDGECAM that you use quite a lot.
Yeah, so we've recently started using Tombstone Manager because we've always got multiple parts on our machines, but there were certain limitations. We have been chopping and cutting the codes and changing your G54s for G55s and literally copy and paste the programs to make it longer, to run on few vices or using the matrix mode on the 3-axis mills. But what pushed us towards the Tombstone Manager was the fact that on a 5-axis machines, once you load up the pyramid and you're doing some 5-axis moves, you can't just simply tell the machine to start at A and C position because it will not exactly follow the correct coordinates. you have to start from B0 or A0, C0. And the answer to resolve this problem was to have specific piece of kit like Tombstone Manager. So what that allows us now is we can run any type of parts on any type of fixture we want, either that's a tombstone or a pyramid or 3-axis milling table. We can run multiple parts with just programming one part. We can run multiple parts of different parts. AI, we can have, let's say, 6 vices on a tombstone, and we can run 6 different parts, which, as you know, if you are a small machine shop like ours and you run limited batches, sometimes they consist just of 1 or 2 parts per batch, the parts you've made before.
If you're making like a development part for Formula E, there's one of those, isn't there?
Yeah, but you can load 6 different parts on a tombstone and you can machine them all at the same time, because you just literally pick and choose which parts you want to machine and in which vice they're sitting on that tombstone, which makes it extremely efficient for me, because I don't have to worry with 8 different datums, 8 different programs. I only get 1 program once I've created. Everything happens automatically for me. So it's a huge improvements, huge savings on time, of my time, which I can do other things, quoting customers or doing something else on other machine.
Yeah, totally. It's about being able to do as much in parallel as possible. It also saves you, I guess, the probing time of those 8 datums as well. Probing each of those up.
That's a great thing about it. If we're on a 5-axis, all of our fixtures, tombstones or pyramids have just one specific point to probe. So we're using just one datum. We're only probing a circle on a Z plane, and off we go. Rather than before, I would manage to do 8 parts, but I would have 8 different datums, and I would have probed 8 different datums as well, which obviously that can lend itself to a human error as well.
What's interesting, I guess some people might push back on the potential accuracy of this approach. I mean, what happens they would say maybe when you load the blocks in, you have to probe up those blocks exactly, because maybe the model will be slightly different to the way the vices grip the blocks. How does that work? How does that?
Well, so if you're going to load the block incorrectly in a vice, I mean, obviously you're going to crash. But I think the trick is to be sensible at the time of programming. Allow yourself, there's a feature in EDGECAM even when you can actually allow extra stock. You don't have to change your physically stock. You can tell it the first roughing cycle to basically add extra 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 millimeters, whatever you wish. Tell it, look, start a little bit further away. Maybe we've loaded incorrectly, etc. But this particular thing is not an issue for us.
Not an issue. I guess as long as you have good work holding and the models are correct.
Yeah, you obviously have to. So in our case, we model all of our pyramids. We've used standard models for the vices we use. And once everything is done correctly, it runs seamlessly at our place.
Seamlessly. Okay, I love it. And that's it's generally for parts that have already been programmed and proven out.
Yes.
Okay, and I remember you mentioning it kind of sparked some interest in the crowd at the time of the Q&As, and you were saying it's about, because you've already proven the program and the part. If you've got a contract, some I don't know, 2 off of this, 2 off of that, 2 off of the other parts that you've already done and come in. You can. How does that work? Do you literally drag and drop them into your microlock style or matrix style?
So we would normally, in our case, we run the Tombstone Manager on our 5-axis. So our Tombstone will have 8 vices, so it's 2 per side. And if the parts we've done before, we can just open the template of a Tombstone, and then we'll just inserting the parts on the faces which got like a CPL mating faces to the vices. And that's all that needs to be done. Then the software will just regenerate the toolpath. So you can have 8 different parts on one tombstone.
And then you export one program.
Yeah.
Set up one day to run the program. You've got 8 good parts.
But there's another good benefit about it. If you've got 2 or 3 different jobs running at the same time, normally you would tend to machine 30 of one, and then let's say 30 of the other, and then 30 of another part, okay? So in that situation, we can also run all these parts simultaneously. So we can run 3 different components on the same machine at the same time. So they can be coming off and going on a different machine to finish, and everybody's happy because we've got we don't have to queue the jobs. We can run them simultaneously.
Yeah, customer B who's last is not complaining because customer A gets the part.
They all go at the same time, okay? So we can do it that.
They should be very diplomatic.
Yeah, we found that approach as well working for us quite well.
Yeah, completely. Okay, so that's Tombstone Manager.
Tombstone Manager.
I guess that's like, it's an add-on. I guess you start when you're starting a subcontract business or a machine shop, you start with, oh bloody, how do we make this part? Oh my God. Then once you get one level up, how do we make 10 of these parts? And then how do we make 10 of these every week? And then eventually the process is approved, the cutting tool's approved. You're like, oh, just drag these in, drag this on, we'll get these done then. And you move to higher and higher levels.
Everybody keeps saying about automation these days, okay? I would say Tombstone Manager is the very first step to automation, okay? Because it gives you that flexibility to run multiple parts, same parts. The parts you had programmed, it's an absolute breeze just to get them on that fixture and just have them made.
Yeah, absolutely. So the entry level, before you buy a robot, before you buy I guess you have a bar feeder normally on a lathe anyway, but when you're milling, extending those cycle times is only really possible if you put in presenting more parts to the spindle.
I mean, our 5-axis machine's got a 250 millimeter platter table, okay? Most people look at these and think, oh, it's a small table, okay? We can swing 400 mil. We've got 8 vices sometimes on that machine, okay? When you look at that machine with just
so you're not using the vertical space in that. You're just looking at the size of the CX.
Yeah. So what people normally think about it, oh, it's a small 5-axis machine. Not really. It gives you great access because the platter's small and you can build up high, tip it 90 degree, and your tombstone sits on it. You've got 8 vices, And
you can access multiple sides still.
So you can still access multiple sides, You treat it basically that 5-axis like a horizontal almost as such. Wow. Because when people think about tombstones, they think horizontal. Yeah, because that's why they see only
stuck in that domain. Only I've got a horizontal machine, I can buy a Tombstone.
That Tombstone Manager, we're actually using on a 3-axis mill because it's nothing else. It's just a reinvented of the kind of
you mentioned a matrix.
Yeah, we're just putting the 8 vices, let's say, and we'll just pick and choose whichever parts we want to put on them.
It's almost like you're bringing VMC milling into the nesting style of a laser cutter.
Exactly.
I've got this part, fit that in here, fit that in there, fit that in there.
You got it.
Which is super efficient. You're talking about the yield per square meter, I guess.
If you think about it, at 4:30, half an hour before you go, you've got 8 vices on the machine, and then you only have an order for 2 parts, okay? You still, you would press the button on those, you've got another vices, you can quite easily put different parts for different customers. And, rather 2 hours of cycle time, you've got a machine running till 2 a.m. in the morning, for example.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating that software seems to be the backbone of this good practice in machine shop management and production scheduling. How do you think people who are listening to this and are thinking, well, how can this software make my machine shop run better? I'm struggling with operators. I'm struggling. Cutting tools are breaking. Operators don't know how to solve these issues. They don't know how to run machines. I'm struggling like this. How can a piece of software? Surely that's the last thing I should be looking at.
Yeah. Look, people, in my opinion, are creatures of habit. Okay. Once they develop a technique, they will stick with it, either it's rightfully or wrongfully. Okay. Just because we've been able to run 8 vices simultaneously on a 3-axis machine, it doesn't mean we've been doing this in an effective way. Okay. Tombstone Manager proved me that as an easier way of running 8 parts at a time. You can just multiply them, and then when you even move to more advanced parts, when you actually got multiple sides machining, like on a 5-axis machine with the pyramids, where without Tombstone Manager, you would not be even able sometimes to follow certain angles because how the C-axis, when it rotates and the pyramid is obviously at 20 or 30 degrees, the angles would run away off of you. Then without this, you wouldn't be able to cut these. We can cut full 5-axis simultaneous parts on a pyramid, 3 at a time, thanks to Tombstone Manager. Beforehand, to do this, even within the EDGECAM software, without the Tombstone Manager, I would need to actually build this pyramid. The whole assembly. And then machine every single part separately within one program, okay? So I would be effectively programming 3 parts. I would be rotating a little bit around it, but I would need to physically program 3 parts. Whereas now I can run 3 different full 5-axis simultaneous parts on a pyramid.
Yeah, completely disconnects
Yeah.
the CAM programming of a single part to the arranging of these parts in a machine tool.
Exactly. And if I need to make any changes, I can go to the original PPF, which is extensions for the EDGECAM programs, and I can change that directly into the child part. And then if I'll open the original program for the whole pyramid assembly, it will ask me if I want to accept the changes. So it automatically updates and generates the new program. I mean, how good is that?
I love it. How good is that? So we've gone deep into the weeds of Tombstone Manager and how it can help. Hopefully, a lot of subcontractors take their first steps into what is kind of automation, extending your cycle times, working lights out, and which most people think they cannot do, but actually they can do today with investment in software and some decent work holding.
Definitely.
Maybe a 5-axis machine as well. Maybe we'll see. Brilliant. Okay, so it's great to hear from a customer exactly technically why software helps so much. And I think these case studies are so important to learn the applications of the software, because you can see screenshots, you can watch a tutorial. Gareth, you'll be super quick in EDGECAM. Look how quick I can program this part. But from a customer, it's great to see it actually in the wild as well. I think it's been a really good event today. We've learned a lot from Marcin about Factory 33, how you guys stay competitive, how you please customers. I think it's fairly obvious now how much effort and thought you put into the making good components consistently. And there'll be, obviously, I think there should be some more of these user groups happening as well. I think talking behind the scenes, I think some people have been saying these user groups are really useful to bring people together, find out more about the software, because it's nice. It's easy to sit with a piece of software and that you know well and just go through the same workflow that you always do. And you don't know, if you don't have my key to say, here's a little tip, this might save you 5 minutes every day. If you save 5 minutes every day after I don't know, a full year's work, that's a lot of time you saved. So it's really important to keep learning more. I know it's hard. I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to lose a day's production. But Martin, what would you say to those who don't want to lose a day's production?
Well, you just have to stand back and reevaluate how you approach things. Just look to make your life easier.
Yeah, look to make your life easier, and then it'll pay dividends back, definitely. Also, there's some pretty good muffins as well. I think we're going to be tucking into one of these. Is cupcakes muffins, same thing?
Cupcake.
Cupcakes, yeah. We're digging into one of these delicious Hexagon cupcakes straight after this podcast as well. So thank you for listening. That's been the MTDCNC Podcast. We'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much, Rowan. Thank you, Marcin.
Thanks, Rowan. Thank you, Gareth.
Thanks for listening to the MTD Podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.